Hello, everybody. Welcome
Hello.
back to Dungeon
Welcome.
of the Mad Mage.
Dungeon of the Mad Mage.
It's session 170. And it's been 2 weeks. And the last session ended on a bit of a cliffhanger / heavy note. So, we're gonna jump into things tonight, and we're gonna see how things go. But I am gonna start tonight's session off with a little bit of a caveat, saying that character death in any tabletop RPG is a variable thing depending on the people involved, the system you're using, the length of the campaign, and the emotional attachment to said character. So, there is nothing about character death in most TTRPGs that is a one-size-fits-all. There are myriad different ways to handle character death. There are a myriad different ways to have it be satisfying and have it mean something or be impactful. And that shoe, the size of that shoe, is not going to be the same for even the people within a singular campaign always, right? So we try to be very flexible here in this particular game, in this particular group of friends. Not everything works for everyone, so hopefully what we have decided to do tonight will be a satisfying time and story and a fun, engaging scenario for everyone involved, most especially for Mitch, who is the individual who actually lost the character, right? So, I do ask that anyone involved or anyone watching, please just participate and accept the things that happen as the decisions that are made around this situation unfold. And keep in mind that we're all here to have fun, we're all here to play a game, and it can be very tough after years of playing in a singular campaign to make particular decisions about characters. So we will see how things unfold. Okay. So, from there, we're going to go ahead and jump into a recap of last session. Previously, in the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, on the outskirts of Avrindar territory, the party, after fighting their way in to rescue Dirzana Freth and Arachnophane, began their retreat. Matashtai's ever-smoking bottle bought them time, preventing the remaining drow from realizing that the party was escaping, and from realizing that their leader, Kireth Ikorza, had been felled. Ashes and Matt fled the scene, with Bones hot on their heels. Back in the main chamber, they met back up with Quailand Lond, the Avrindar turncoat, and Zaran Adaragon, the Frethian shadow dancer. These two began their retreat as well, though it was clear Quailand could not keep pace with the party. In the meantime, Ezrah had teleported Dirzana Freth back towards the Speak with Dead portal. But something moved in the dark where the two of them arrived. A malevolent creature made solely of arms and hands. And it was not alone. Rather than risk facing this creature, Ezrah dimension doored again, taking Dirzana the rest of the way to the portal. But his friends were still out there. And now he knew that even if their escape was clean, which it might not be, the creature he had just seen would likely impede them. Ezrah handed off the Speak with the Dead scroll to Dirzana, instructed the drow to stay safe and go through the portal if someone other than a trusted individual arrived. With that, the sorcerer turned invisible and attempted to make his way back toward the party. Ashes and Matashtai were leading the escape, while Bones and Zeran hung back, helping Quailen's passage and setting traps for those that might pursue. And there was most definitely pursuit, some of which would perhaps be foiled by these traps. But the party were not the only ones with tricks up their sleeves, and they'd kicked the proverbial hornet's nest. As Matashtai and Ashes rushed back into the first outpost that they had assaulted on their ingress, a shadowy drow appeared before them. Matashtai attacked immediately, stunning the figure, and the two continued their escape. But something momentarily stunned the monk, and a moment later, a surge of pain nearly brought the blood hunter to his knees. Something else was here. Fortunately for the party, whoever had arrived couldn't work in tandem with the shadowy drow that Matt had stunned. For moments later, Zeran Adaragon arrived to face off against Raylan Avrindar, his shadow-dancing rival. When fighting each other, the two spent as much time in the shadow plane as they did in the material, so following them was all but impossible, which meant the party was down an ally, but also down an enemy. In the meantime, Ezra's invisibility had proven ineffective against the sightless Soul Shaker, and he had had to once again dimension door away from the creature made of hands. His arrival at the statues reunited the party. Matashtai, realizing someone was invisible nearby, turned on his lantern. He rushed back into the chamber where Raylan and Zeran fought, just as Bones and Quailen arrived. The Tabaxi hucked a flashbang, hoping to obscure their passage, and indeed he heard a muffled curse. As Matashtai entered the chamber, the light of his lantern revealed a mage, but not just any mage. Gorthax Avrindar, Blonwelv's Archmage. The flashbang had only momentarily blinded the caster, and green energy pulsed at his fingertip. As Matashtai closed, Gorthax turned, unleashing a torrent of green disintegrating energy into the monk's chest. The Kalishtar should have been turned to dust, but those standing nearby witnessed the blue visage of Velena, the quarry spirit, step free from the monk, cry out silently, and disappear. Matashtai dropped to the ground, dead, but his body still whole. A moment later, Gorthax, realizing that he was about to be swarmed by a mage slayer, a blood hunter, and more, and that the lantern's light still revealed him, decided it was best to take this as a victory and retreat. He extended a hand, which Raylan took from the shadows, and they both disappeared. In the moment after, there was no time to mourn Matashtai's loss. Ashes took his body, and the group continued on their way. Realizing that going back through Muriel's gauntlet might be suicidal, they sent Zeran on his own to meet with Dirzana, while the rest of them skirted the outer rooms of the floor and headed back to the Lost levels. Shortly thereafter, they decided to head back to the Maze level in order to return Arachnophane and hopefully gain assistance in resurrecting Matashtai from the Great Mother. Their journeys through the portals were swift but not uneventful, though there was no obvious side effect of their continuing encounters with the Shadow. Upon their arrival back at Spiderwatch Keep, the party was relieved to find Dirzana Freth, Zeran Adaragon, and moss-covered Rocknir Stream had all made it back as well, though not without some sort of altercation. The safe return of the captured Frethians was to be celebrated, but the loss of Matashtai put a somber edge to things. Shortly thereafter, the group was led to Erelal, where they appealed to the Great Mother. She was willing to help them, but could not display unfair favoritism towards them. They would have to pay for the resurrection, and she would need time to prepare. The party agreed, though Erelal left them with a looming question. did Matashtai even want to return? And that is where we kind of fade back into our scene. In actuality, if it is okay with the players, we are going to do a little bit of a time skip. In the aftermath of your communication, your meeting with Erelal Breath, you are provided once again with a chamber in which to rest. Matashtai's body is tended to, though there's not much tending that needs to be done, considering the disintegration did not leave any sort of wound upon his body. You are given meals and the opportunity for rest. Is there anything that Ashes, Ezrah, and Bones do in this moment after they are kind of like led away and allowed to potentially grieve?
Oh, I hate my brain. Oh god, because the first thing I was like, I want to reach into Matashai's things and grab his pen and then like draw glasses on his face.
What? I choose not to come back for sure.
Maybe a little dick on his forehead.
If there was a question at all, the question is now answered.
All right, now pulling it in. All right, back in. So, where are we right now?
I'll put you guys on the map so you can specifically visualize.
I assume we're back in our little chamber.
You're in the chamber. You're in Driven Breath's chamber.
Study.
In his study, yeah. Where you stayed the last time that you were here. And you've been given privacy.
As we were walking back, I would have one of the passing guards. I would have asked for an audience with Rilno.
She comes by after a little while, right? There's a couple of different things that she has to attend to, so she's not here in the immediacy. But within the next hour or two, she stops by.
Yeah, not urgent by any means, but.
Sure. She comes by and asks what you needed, or what you were after.
Again, I ask if it's all right for us to take a walk.
Sure. Yeah, she'll take you out, into the courtyard.
It's weird that Matt's also in this chamber, but okay.
I mean, Matt, they don't take Matt's body from
I know,
you guys.
It's just weird.
They actually they bring a little cot into Driven's study and they have his body laid out. Like, you used
that's is it Spare the Dying?
Spare the Dying, right? So
no, Gentle Repose.
Yeah, so that's what it was, right? Like you use Gentle Repose on the body to prevent it from
decaying,
progressing in the natural cycle of life and death.
Yep. For 10 extra days or whatever it is, giving us an extra window if necessary.
She takes you out into the courtyard, and takes you not to her chambers unless you're specifically wanting, enclosed privacy, but she takes you to one of the various benches that's kind of like tucked away.
As we're walking, kind of in a somber tone, perhaps with this, I've earned your trust. Maybe that rain check, you can show me around.
Um, he kind of like nods to you generally, and begins to slowly walk around the confines of the outer wall of Spiderwatch Keep. I'm gonna just like, kind of like solo
Oh, and
walk you around or
we
anything
can
like that.
entirely do Theater of the Mind.
Well,
here,
I'm just gonna do a quick like loop-de-loop so that you kind of like
just for
see
vision.
what
Got
you're
it.
kind of like going for from like vision.
Mhm.
But then yeah, we're gonna theater of the mind it.
Ezra's not really paying actual attention to the surroundings, but
You see several like towers surrounding Spiderwatch Keep. Like just passively realize that there's a large like fungal garden in the northwest corner of the territory that the keep holds. There's a couple of like buildings. There's one pretty like odd building that looks like a prison, that has guards out in front of it. And then there's what looks to be like a stable, right? But not for horses. You see it's open air, and there's these great shaggy kind of like cows. I think you would probably know enough to be like, I think I know what those are. They're Roth, right? Which is just an Underdark cow.
Yep.
Or bison kind of
Cattle.
scenario. Yeah, cattle situation. But yeah, as you walk, Rilna is just there, waiting for you to say or do something.
did anything transpire while we were away?
Nothing of note. The days continue to pass. We continue to lose ground against House Avrendar. The Warrens continue to be a deathbed for our house. The worms passing comes like clockwork.
Not good news, but also not bad.
You see, she kind of studies you as she says all of the things that she says to see if you have any reaction to any of them. And you don't have like a especially overt reaction to anything, so she just kind of like nods at you.
Their Inquisitor has fallen.
Interesting. I wonder if Blonwell will let that stand. Regardless, it will be a loss of resources for her in one way or another.
Many of their forces were taken, many of which I assume Vlanwell will not give such thought towards.
She is an excellent diplomat. The houses that support her will continue to send her able bodies as long as they believe she can do what she says.
Have you checked in with your niece?
I had a moment. Seems to be doing well. I believe that as much as anything, that is to do with the fact that you brought Arachnophane back alive, if not whole.
Your warnings were helpful.
Well, you didn't exactly pry them out of me, but I'm glad they could be of use.
But I'm glad I asked.
Shrugs. in like a friendly, kind of like nonchalant way.
Right. Yep. They'll be coming for us now.
Well, if the amount of damage that you've done is what it sounds like, is what Zaran has mentioned, I think we have some time. Blonwell will be able to replace those losses one way or another, but she'll have to bend things and lie to certain people, intimidate others, buy others off. It'll take her some time to do that. And she's a prudent one. She's not one to lash out irrationally. Attacking us now, after having lost such a large force, would just be to her disadvantage. We've lost nothing. Well, you see her kind of like...
There's a moment where even I crack a little bit at that comment.
You see her kind of like act as if like, oh shit, I said the wrong thing, I should say something instead, and then she just kind of like, she does the whole like, either he understands what I meant or he doesn't. I'm not gonna touch that. Yep. Right?
Yep.
And she shoulders past and she says, I believe it likely that we will have a few days at the least in order to figure out what the next scenario is. It's likely that Blonwell will seek to replenish her losses through her allies, and she will either resurrect or spin some yarn about the loss of Karethia Korza in such a way that can bolster her standing with the other houses. Potentially resurrection will still cost her resources, and if she doesn't, then it's likely she'll spend time wooing or cajoling one of her lesser houses to press one of their higher-ups into service as a replacement. Either way, we have time.
It's good.
I mean, even if we didn't have time, for her to attack us means coming through the Warrens or losing a portion of her forces through the portals. So, either way, we would be at an advantage. Maybe the only advantage we currently have at the moment. And she says that looking at you.
Hopefully we have a couple of days.
She nods. And unless there's anything else that you kind of like specifically broach a subject on, she kind of like walks with you for another few minutes, like completes a circuit around Spiderwatch Keep, points a thing or two out to you, and then leads you back to your chambers. Ashes or bones? What are you guys doing?
No.
If anything.
Chilling.
Say what?
I'll be sitting there and looking at Matt, and I'll look over. I won't even look. I'll just, hey Bones, you ever lost somebody close?
People die. It's kind of
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm used to it. Back at the Order, Like, it's do dangerous shit all the time. So of course, people who I've called brothers have passed. We never had the opportunity that we have where we can, bring somebody back, and maybe just that fact alone is keeping me from, I don't know, really reacting. Almost feels like he's not actually gone yet.
Yeah, it really doesn't feel real yet.
In the order, whenever one of us died, I mean, we would just normally, bury them in the ground like usual or whatever, but we only did it at night. Clear sky. No fires, no torches. So whenever we finally commit them to the ground, the last light that touches their physical form is from the moon.
You're not gonna like put them in a sarcophagus or something?
No,
What,
I mean,
I got a zombie werewolf.
if this doesn't work, there's a part of me that would want to do that for Matt too, but I don't know. I don't know if that would be like his thing. I don't know how aliens bury their own.
Me either.
I become a zombie and bite him immediately.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this is a first time opportunity, and I don't know. I feel like maybe we have been pushing too fast. Maybe we got careless.
I don't think so. I mean, who could have seen that coming? Not like we had a choice to be slow. It just was what it was.
Yeah.
I guess he could have left. He could have left the beam for me, or for Quigley.
I don't know.
Quigley.
Quigley down
I feel
under.
like
But I'm gonna call him Q.
Q.
Q ain't on.
I don't know. It's just, I guess it just hasn't sunk in yet, and I guess it won't until we see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know. He didn't seem like he was ready to be done, but I guess you never know.
Yeah. I don't know, and I don't really know how all this magic bullshit works. I don't know if like there's a chance it won't work or whatever, but I guess we'll just see in the morning. Oh, hey, Ezra. Welcome back.
Hey, how'd your date go?
Date?
Yeah, that was a date, right?
No?
Oh, you better tell her
What?
that.
What was it?
Oh
Yeah.
no. Oh no.
Great. Thank you for giving Ezra additional anxiety issues.
Oh god. Oh
Oh
no.
god. Oh god. Oh no.
Because he didn't have a stockpile of those already.
Bones.
Hello, that's me.
While this is kind of like going on, Mossy kind of comes over to you and tugs on your sleeve with one of his hooked claws.
Rip.
Oh, hey, Moss.
Kind of like rumbles at you. And he gestures down, and you see there's a crack across his side. That wasn't there when you last saw him.
What happened?
And he tells you in his broken, gravelly language. He basically complains about these drow that he went to the place, right? The portal place, what he calls it. And when he got there, he came up and saw the rescued elf lady on her own. And then a moment later, the shadow guy showed up. And then a moment later, they were attacked. All three of them were attacked by these drow riders on the backs of these giant blue spiders that just came from nowhere. That wasn't necessarily a problem. They started to defend themselves. Irzana worked on opening the portal. But as that was happening, the door to the room burst open, and this giant scorpion man came into the room and started to attack everyone.
Oh, okay. A giant scorpion man.
He had this huge longsword. It was kind of gestures. It was bigger than ashes, right? And
Thank you.
he got hit with it, and it did this. Gestures died.
I see. Well, that's crazy. What'd the scorpion man say?
He just kept screaming, "Don't look at me, don't look at me."
Okay, well, that's very weird. I'm glad you survived, bud. Have you tried eating any ore? Did that help?
Hasn't had time. They went through the
Okay.
portal, and when they got through the portal, the bulls started roaring and chasing them through the tunnels, and he didn't want to just leave the lady and shadow guy, so tried to help. It was mostly
that's fine.
okay.
Well, I'm glad you helped. Probably the only reason she survived, because you're awesome. Just gonna be honest.
He kind of like does what is the equivalent of Mossy nodding in agreement.
Let me see what I got. I got some special ores, I think. That might be helpful. I don't want to just give him the normal amethyst if he's super hurt. I think I'm kind of out of most things. All I have is 1 diamond. Alright, well, I give him 2 amethysts.
Okay.
You spoil him.
He very
I just don't-
happily. Go ahead.
So I just don't have anything else in the moment.
He very happily kind of like, grinds those up. There's this kind of like of little like purplish violet powder, right? So that kind of like comes up out of the toothy maw that is his pie hole, right? And he, he doesn't chirrup. He makes this weird kind of like rotary kind of like grinding noise when he's happy. But he does that a couple times, eats the second one, does it even more, and seems happy enough, right? Like,
Does his little wound thing start healing like it normally does? Or...
you see it kind of like patches up. Yeah, it gives you the indication that like it's beginning to seal, and he probably just needs to rest along with you guys.
Okay. So he's not like really cursed.
It doesn't seem as if like it's a permanent ailment, but just an encounter with an especially powerful foe that, I mean, you've seen Mossy go toe-to-toe with things and come away with nary a scratch, right? This was not one of those situations.
Does the description of the individual ring any bells? As I can understand what he's saying as well.
Roll an insight or a history check.
That's an easy decision. I'm gonna go ahead and use a sork point and re-roll that.
Easy decision.
Also an
21.
easy decision.
21. Yeah, I mean, so I think at this point, you probably have not been given a specific description because there might not be a lot of people with specific descriptions.
Yep.
But you've heard the title repeatedly. You've heard him referred to as Mural the Misshapen. And it's possible that it was something else, but it's also possible that the party escaping from the
That
Speak
is
with
a
Dead portal
plausibility.
was attacked by one of the 7. So, the group is back together. You guys rest, await the morning. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. My heart's racing at like 90 miles a minute.
I gave
Damn,
you a
we-
little time to relax. Come on.
If we had gone that way, we'd have been fighting Merle.
Merle.
I mean, Ezra
I don't know how you
rolled
say his name.
Ezra rolled a 2.
Merle.
Merle!
Yeah, like from The Walking Dead, Merle.
Mural.
Yeah, Merle.
Like
Mural.
like a mural.
Good old mural.
All right,
Interesting. A Muriel.
a Muriel. You guys, one by one, in your own time, head to bed. You rest. It's been a long day. You've had a lot of... You've fought a lot. You've had a lot of stuff going on. Emotionally taxing, intellectually taxing scenarios. And I don't think anyone got out of any of the situations unharmed, though some of you got away with fewer scratches than others. But you rest,
I rest.
not off to sleep. Matashtai. You're seated in a padded metal chair. The air around you is chill, and you're staring forward into a great black void, waiting for something. And then someone punches you in the arm, breaking your reverie, and you hear a familiar voice. Hey, facing out again? I swear, you're always got your head in the clouds. Well, I mean, I'm not sure how applicable that is since we're way above any clouds, but you know what I mean. You look over to your right,
Is Matt's people canonically Russian?
and seated next to you is your best friend, Darren Tash. Though almost everyone calls him Darren. He smiles at you reassuringly. Darren is, well, charming is a good word for it. He's a similar complexion to you, but with short, cropped, dark hair and deep brown eyes. He has a bit more flesh on his bones than your wiry frame, but you know from sparring with him that it doesn't slow him down, and it just adds weight to his punches. Looking at him, you feel a pang of sadness in your chest, like you've missed him. Which is strange, since the two of you have been almost inseparable for years now. You hear a cough behind you, and then the voice of your mentor. All right, if this thing is reading correctly, the planet should be coming into view now. You glance back over your shoulder and up. You see the wizened face of Liu Sun standing behind you. There are other people here, passengers and crew, but they all seem hazy for some reason, like you're unable to focus on them. Before you can think much about it, you hear Darren gasp. Turn to look at what has caught his attention. Technical difficulties, I apologize. And you see out of the thick viewing glass, not the void of space, but a sphere creeping into view. A sphere covered in greens and blues, swirling clouds of white, ice-capped mountains, great plains and deserts. Not entirely unlike your home, though you didn't get to see your home like this when you left to begin your journey. You feel Liu Sun's hand on your shoulder, giving you a knowing pat. It's all at once beautiful and mesmerizing and overwhelming. But also, that pang of sadness persists. Maybe for the home that you've left. Something hits the side of your ship, so hard that you're launched out of your chair. You and Darren landing in a heap together. Most everyone else in the room has been thrown from their feet as well. The only person standing is your master. You hear this wah, 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 wah. And I'm not going to continue that for the next while, but it keeps going.
I'm
It does
amazed
not
Discord
stop.
didn't cut that out.
I'm very impressed. Thank you, Discord. Right? Apparently, that's a human voice. Something is wrong. You and Darren both stand up immediately. You hear a loud crash from further down the vessel, and then screaming. The other passengers around you begin to panic. You blink. And then you are not where you were a moment ago. You're still on the ship, just not in the viewing chamber. You're breathing heavily. Your left arm is sore. You look down at it and you see Darren there, ripping the sleeve of your robe, tying a tourniquet around your bleeding arm. You're in a long hall, and there are hazy figures on the floor at your feet. Some of them look strange, unlike anyone you've ever seen before. Lanky but muscular, jaundiced skin, almost like a sickly orc, but ears like an elf. The one at your feet wielded a blade of silver. It's slick with blood. Your blood? You hear feet approaching, and Darren steps in front of you. But it's your master, Liu Sun, who rounds the corner. He's covered in gore, but his calm movements and demeanor indicate that little, if any, of it belongs to him. He carries 2 spears, one in each hand, both beautiful weapons. There's a slight look of consternation on his face as he moves towards you. Darren pulls you to your feet by your good arm, and when you look up at him, you see his eyes go distant. You've seen that look many times before. He must be speaking to Velena. Wait. Velena? That's not right, is it? Cold textured metal is pressed into the palm of your good hand. Liu Sun has handed you a leaf-bladed spear, and at the same time is handing Darren a long-bladed one. Tonbakiri and Otagine. You've seen both of these weapons before in Kashtakeep Monastery. They're both important treasures of your order. You feel momentarily overwhelmed to have a relic like this in your hand. Your head swims for a moment, vision blurring, and for a brief second, it feels like someone else is screaming in your head. You blink once again in a different place and feel a deep pain in your side. You're in a semicircular chamber. More of those strange, orcish, elven bodies at your feet. Darren stands a few feet in front of you, breathing heavily. He's covered in small wounds, but as he looks back at you, you see deep concern on his face for you. His eyes focus on your side, and you look down to see your hand pressed against it, blood seeping between your fingers. There's shouting, and you look to see your master enter the room, followed by two others. A young member of the crew, his right arm hanging limp at his side, and an older woman, limping but with a look of cold determination. As they rush into the chamber, Liu soon steps back out, and you hear the sounds of fighting. You instinctively try to push to your feet, but the pain in your side almost makes you pass out in response. Darren kneels next to you, trying to look calm, but you see it on his face. Neither your friend nor your master is trained in the healing arts. Not for something like this. You're going to die here. It's hard to look into the face of someone you love when they know you're dying. Darren Tash leans next to you, briefly embracing you as gently as he can. As he does, see the injured crew member lead the old woman over to two small hatches on the wall. He helps her crawl inside, then pulls himself into one as well. A moment later, there's a loud sound like a rush of air and a screeching metal as two objects launch from the ship. And then you see a flash of what looks like red scales through one of the side windows. Something huge. And a moment later, a small explosion. Suddenly, Darren is dragging you across the floor to one of those hatches. Your eyes flicker and you black out for a moment. When your eyes open, your hand is on a lever, you're inside the hatch, and Tonbakiri is at your side. You remember a voice, Darren's voice, saying, "Let me go first. Wait till you hear the air release." Your eyes flicker up to the tiny window through which you can see the chamber you were just in, where you can see your master, Liu Sun, on one knee, bodies all around him. A blade flashes in the haze, and your master's head rolls from his shoulders. You hear the loud rush of air and screeching metal again, and instinctively, a moment later, your hand pulls the lever. Your escape pod hurtles outward from the ship, following a moment behind Darren's. A moment that was long enough to draw the Red Dragon's attention. You see its massive body flash forward, snag Darren's pod, and crush it. It turns to you, but you're already beyond the gravity field of the ship and into the wild space surrounding the planet that your escape pod now plummets toward. In your final moments of lucidity, you see an immense stationary asteroid, your attackers streaming from it on the back of half a dozen red dragons. and you recall the last moments within the chamber. Your master yelling for the two of you to escape, Darren dragging you into the pod and placing your hand on the lever, telling you, "Let me go first. Wait till you hear the air release. You're going to be all right, brother. Promise. Velena, take care of him." Matashtai, you're seated in a padded metal chair. The air around you is chill, and you're staring forward into a great black void, waiting for something. And you hear a voice. "Well now, young one, is that it then?"
I look at where the voice is coming from.
You see a hazy spectral figure that represents your master, your mentor, the man who taught you half of what you know and brought you on a journey to a different world so that you could become a champion of your people. The man who gave his life so that you and your best friend could try to escape from the Githyanki that attacked you.
It's been a long time, Master.
Has it? Time's kind of soupy around here.
Well, I guess it hasn't been as long as I think, but feels like a long time.
Feels like 3 years.
I can't remember the timeline of when
It's
it
been
all
like
happened.
it's been like a few months.
Like
It's-
3 or 4 months. At
Yeah, I
most.
think it's been like 5 or 6 months for Matashtai, because Matashtai was
Yeah.
in the city for a few months prior, but it's been 3.5 years for us. So
But I don't know if that's it. I don't know how much of it's up to me anymore.
that's fair. You've always, well, I don't know that I would call you practical per se, but you've always had at least a pragmatic outlook on particular things. Do you want that to be it?
It'd be a lot easier.
He thinks it's easier over here. Oh.
Wait, is it not?
Oh, my boy. If you think what we do ends down there, well, I mean, look, I was given an option. I made a choice. So I keep doing things.
No. I don't think that's where I want it to end.
Not to sway you in one way or another, but good. I'm glad you feel that way. You've come a long way. Not every journey needs to end in success, or even reach the goal that it set out for itself, but would be ashamed to see yours end after doing so much. having so much left to offer.
I wish you and Darren could have been along for the ride.
I wish that too. But such is life and death, unfortunately. Occasionally we will lose those along the way that are traveling with us, but as long as we remember them and their effect on our journeys, that's what matters. You haven't been forgetting what I've taught you, have you?
No.
Supplementing a little here or there, making up your own techniques.
We both know I was never as good at doing things the right way.
You were a piss poor student, but you had heart. A lot of it. Piss poor student might be a little overboard. You were bullheaded. Let's say that.
Well, I mean, since you're dead, you can't rat on me. Darren definitely answered most of the questions on our tests.
You think that wasn't a known quantity?
Oh, well, shit.
You think we also didn't know about half the scenarios where you were encouraging him to go do X thing that shouldn't happen? And vice versa. We've all been in your shoes. Well, not all of us, but most of us in the Order had been in your shoes before. The Presidium has been around for many generations, young man. We've done what you've done. Well, not quite what you've done. He gives you this face of like, yeesh, you know? Like he knows a few things that he wish he didn't know.
And the ghosts, they see you.
What did you do with that cow?
Look,
We don't talk about the cow.
his face kind of like sobers a little bit. It's hard to really make things out. Like his form's obviously hazy, obviously
It's like he's got
spectral.
blur on.
Yeah, exactly, right? But he looks at you and he says, "So if they come for you, you will return."
Yeah, I think I will. I'm not done. Got a lot more work to do, and even more work after that's done. So,
Don't forget to take time for yourself. But
Milena was saying the same damn thing.
the world does need people like you. All the worlds do. Speaking of Velena, can you hear her?
I haven't tried. Milena, you there?
Do not. You do still feel your bond, but it's faint. Incredibly faint. More faint than when you first bonded. You couldn't even really talk to Velena at that point. Not in a true conversational way that you do Or did now. See this kind of like knowing look. This sorrowful look in Liu Sun's eyes. And he kind of like sighs at you and he says, I do not know myself, obviously, but I have heard of those spirits were taken from them or forced from them, or those that sought to sacrifice themselves.
She's not gone, is she?
From this place, probably. Well, from where you were, yes. But if you so choose, I think you will. I think perhaps he has been sent home. Find her there.
Like home, or our home?
Her.
Dalcor?
Nods solemnly at you.
Oh.
Yeah. Matashtai, you know that place, the place that the Adar call the region of dreams, to be a place of dreams, but a nightmare at its center. A place where the evil that has plagued your people for half a millennium has come from. A place where the dreaming dark resides. Where the original quarry live. The stuff of nightmares. And he looks at you and he says, if you can find her there, I am certain that she will return with you.
Where do I even start? How do I find her in the dream?
He looks at you and he says, not my area of expertise, young man, but you are with powerful people. Just your friends, but the allies that you've made along the way. Seek answers from them. They cannot provide them. Look for more answers elsewhere.
Okay.
All right. I'm tired. This is actually very difficult. They don't tell you that when they're like, hey, you should go to the edge of everything and talk to your pupil because he had a bad time. They don't like warn you of, oh, it's gonna be really exhausting. It's gonna take a lot out of you.
Force Ghost is supposedly like the hardest Jedi move to learn. Like,
That's true.
So
actually.
that's a reference I was making.
okay.
Say, have you seen Darren over on this side?
He walks up to you, this ghostly spiritual form, and he puts his hand on your shoulder, much like he did in the memory that you just had. And he looks at you and he says, "Nope. When you find him, say hi for me." And he shoves you. And you're gone.
Oh shit.
Damn, that's crazy.
He's also dog dad.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you also dog dad?
We're adopted brothers somehow.
I gotta go rewrite that now. That's
That's
absolutely
not
canon.
it should be. That's
Oh
crazy.
god. Yep. Putting a note, rewriting now.
That's so good.
Our timeline's getting wibbly wobbly as
No,
fuck
let's
though.
go.
We're in the
Lucky.
multiverse.
It'll be fine. It doesn't matter. That's too good not to be the thing.
Matashtai, your experience fades black. And you are alone, internally by yourself. You have a feeling of consciousness of your own being, but you feel yourself floating through nothingness. You feel no other thing. You hear no other thing, excepting for tiniest heather of where normally feel Helena. Pulls ever so slightly. Bones, ashes, Ezrah.
Oh,
There's a
Yo.
knock on the door to your chamber early in the morning.
Benefits of long rest?
You all gain the benefits of a long rest.
I would have handed the Ring of Invisibility back to Bones.
Mike.
I will
Oh,
reattune
yeah,
to it.
yeah. I would have returned the breastplate, put on the adamantine armor, and also gave back the cloak, whoever I borrowed that from, if that actually belonged to anybody.
That might have been the dead person.
Hold on,
I
what was
shoved
the
the
cloak?
cloak back in his pack.
The same cloak you
Well-
have, isn't it? Zach?
It's the stealth one.
Yeah. Cloak
No,
of
I have
Elvenkind.
the
You have the boots
I
of
have the
Elvenkind.
boots of Elvenkind.
I thought you had both.
Well, then it's probably mine.
Then I give it back.
I thought you had both originally, and then maybe you handed it off to someone because you didn't need it anymore. But I don't know.
That actually sounds extremely familiar.
That sounds exactly like what happened. Is like in the shuffle of like attunement slots one time, you were like, I guess I don't need this. I'll trade you this for this, type scenario.
No.
I think is what happened, but I don't remember. This is
I
why
don't know.
this is why
Mitch,
y'all
did
are
you ever have
responsible for
the-
your character items.
Did you ever
What?
have the Cloak of Elvenkind?
No.
Okay, never mind.
Okay, well,
Zach-
but it doesn't
Zach
do
was
anything.
just sorting it.
It doesn't do anything for me to have both, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Can I become a cat dwarf elf?
No.
Oh, well, that's disappointing.
Well, I mean, you could in theory, just not with that particular item.
Oh, interesting.
Stop. Just Jesus Christ.
Okay, if I dangle a Ezra becomes an elemental dragon in front of you.
That's not this character.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Anyone who refuses becoming an elemental dragon is like, get out. We're done here.
I mean, if
Yeah.
it happens, I'm not
yeah,
going to complain
if it
about
happens, if it happens, yeah.
But I'm not begging for it.
I
Okay, I
need
de-attune to things and I fix my attunement.
I need Ashes, Bones, and Ezra to all roll me Wisdom saving throws and Constitution saving throws.
Ah, this bullshit.
Wisdom.
Matashtai doesn't have to because
Fine.
he's dead.
Roll. Well,
That tracks.
Damn, I'm so fucking good.
That also tracks. I do not have advantage on either.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Do you guys hear PX snoring over there?
Nope, I do not.
Damn.
No, but we've heard a dog barking in the background. I assume that's your new addition.
Not my new edition. It's Cassandra's mom's dog.
Huh.
She's on vacation in Waco.
Your dog sitting?
That's a
Yeah.
vacation.
Waco, Texas.
It is for people in Oklahoma.
That's fair.
Anywhere south of Dallas is a vacation.
okay.
I mean, as long as they're having fun.
I think they're gonna go to like the Dr. Pepper factory and I don't know, something else.
That
I mean,
seems
the Dr.
fun.
Pepper factory in and of itself that's a dang trip right there.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been once. It's a great time.
None of you sleep well.
I sleep like the dead.
Ba-dum-bum-ba-dum-bum.
Christ.
How do we kick him from the call? How do we do that again? Can we
I can
just...
do it.
Yeah, we're admins. We can do it.
None
You
of you
are?
sleep well. It's whether the loss of a companion truly affects your characters or not. Something in the air is disconcerting. Like there's eyes upon you. And the chamber never quite feels comfortable. Always a little too hot or a little too cold. There's sudden noises here or there. And just overall, it leads to not a great sleeping experience. The morning arrives. You are brought a meal with which to break your fast.
Oh, my fast is so broken.
And a short time later, you find yourselves standing in front of Errol Freth. Still within this chamber, the Great Mother and her brother have made their way into this chamber with the intention of assisting you in recovery of your friend. Errol, her pale gown kind of clinging to her, walks in or glides in, and Driven nonchalantly kind of follows behind. Closes the door. Errol sweeps past each of you and stands next to Tashtai's body. And then she looks at all of you and she says, "Are you ready?"
I'm ready.
Please.
Hold up. I find on Matt's body Wolf's bag. And I reach in there and I pull him out.
Oh no.
God, I hope he comes out as a moose.
Oh god.
A fucking elk in this
Oh,
chamber.
God.
I go over to the
Okay. Roll me a d8.
Is it 2d8?
roll 1d8.
It is 2d8 actually.
I roll another d8.
Well, it is not an elk. I
Well,
think
that's
that
always
means
fun.
you can choose wolf.
It
With 6
is
and 7, I think wolf is one of those.
it is your
I think
choice
Wolf
of a
is 7?
Your choice of a giant badger or the dire wolf form.
I choose the wolf.
The badger.
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 He hates the badger.
Yeah, exactly.
No, he
Welcome.
hates rat.
Oh, that's
He
right.
hates rat.
Wolf's form
No tracks.
comes into the chamber, or is summoned forth from the bag. And immediately, he kind of like pads over. He doesn't pause. He doesn't take in the situation as if he already has seen everything that has been transpiring. He immediately pads over to Matashtai's body, and you see him kind of like lick at Matashtai's hand, and you hear this. It sounds very disconcerting coming from such a large canine, but you hear this whine, like a dog crying for its owner.
Man.
Yeah.
Bitch.
Great, you brought him out just to be sad. Like,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have known I died.
Absolutely.
Just in case he needs a little motivation to come back.
That's a +1 on the resurrection roll. Sad puppy score.
Also a +1 to sadness.
Definitely. All right. Erelal, having received confirmation from each of you, takes the diamond out, and begins to incant. Her eyes go white. Her hair begins to kind of like crackle and float up around her. And he continues to chant. And then you see Driven lean back against the wall and slide into a seated position. And he looks over at all of you and he says, "You might want to get comfortable. This is going to take a second."
How long is a second?
About an hour.
Right.
Not exactly simple magic raising the dead.
That makes sense.
Wolf does not leave Matashtai's side during ordeal, but is there anything that the rest of you want to do while this is going on? Or are you just passing the time?
I mean, I'll just sit. I'll stay like right where I am, but I'll just sit by Matt, and I don't know if I at this point, Ash is gonna believe that like doing something like being close to somebody that they're close to maybe makes the magicier.
Magic-ear? Who knows?
No, I'm
Ezra's just
here-
gonna
I'm here for the ride.
Ezra's just gonna station himself by the door, just ready to
Attack.
attack.
Ready to attack. Sounds like Ezra.
Attack.
And I'm sure he will be super perceptive of the attack incoming.
Wonderful. Start with Bones.
Hello.
Bones. There
That's me, I'm Bones.
is a moment, about 15, 20 minutes in. You noted just passively that The first 15 or so minutes of Eralal's chanting was the same series of utterances, the same verse, on about 45 seconds or so that looped over and over and over again. Around the 15-minute mark or so, things changed up. And along with the change in speech, in what was actually being said, the tone also changed. It became somewhat argumentative.
Oh, okay.
As this happens, and as you kind of like recognize that this is happening, you hear this kind of like this little like clicking sound, and you look over and you realize that it's Driven, kind of like giving you this like little kind of sound. And when he catches your eye, he kind of like nods over towards Matashtai, and he says quietly, says, "Got anything for all this?"
I am a magic cat.
You are a magic cat.
I am a magic cat.
Hold on, I'm thinking to myself of how a magic cat such as I can help with things that are obviously magic.
Drugs.
Drug.
Drugs? No, that was
Drugs.
Gads. I wasn't prepared for this, so alright.
I don't think anyone was. It was random luck of the draw on who got it first. Also prepared for what? An NPC just asked if you had any things that you'd like to say or do while your friend's being resurrected. What are you talking about?
I don't think I have anything. Because I am a magic cat.
That's
not
why
this kind
you
of-
don't have anything, is because you're a magic
Yeah.
cat?
But not this kind of magic.
Gotcha. Fair. So what do you do in response to Driven's kind of like nod?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, just like gives you this like really kind of like look, and then he's actually standing nearer, or he's sitting, but he's nearer to Ezrah, who Ezrah, with his passive perception of 9, has not noticed any of the like communication back and forth between Bones and Driven.
Nope.
And Ezrah, you just feel this kick of Driven kind of like kicking against your foot to get your attention.
What?
Still got my staff?
I pull it out and hand it to him.
I said you could keep it until all of this was done.
I mean, all of that was done.
No. Like all of dealing with Avrindar.
Oh. Yes, I have
But
it.
he's kind of like have it like he has it partially in hand, and he's
Have
like
his
putting
whole-
it back, and he's just like, wait a second. Did you even use this?
Yes.
You didn't even use it?
That situation didn't arise.
The situation didn't arise. Hey, I'm gonna walk into danger. Here, let me give myself a little bit of a, friendly helping hand.
To be fair, I buffed them and hid while they walked into danger.
I saw you when you walked in. You weren't unharmed.
Yeah, nope, I made some choices.
Kinda
But
like,
it was nice having that as a backup.
hopefully it serves you better in the future. Kind of like nods his head towards Matashtai and towards Erelal. And even with your bad perception, you can hear she's kind of miffed at this point. She's speaking Elven, by the way, but what she's saying, you
It's
have
arcane
no
in
fucking
nature.
clue. Yeah, it's not even it's gibberish to you. It's just with the various accents and things like that. You're like, yeah, that's probably Elven, but not any type of Elven that I'm aware of.
Ancient, what, elder, archaic, whatever the fuck, yeah.
But she seems, again, I love being able to say this, all of you have insight trained, so she doesn't seem especially happy, and she seems to be in a conversation. Kind of like nods towards
If it is getting more on the dire side, I look at Driven, but kind of in a quizzical nature.
She kind of shrugs and he says, I don't know how this shit works. I just know that sometimes people get up and say things while stuff's going on.
Say things like what?
I don't know, like, oh, you're my best friend in the world, or, oh, Ma and Pa just can't live without you, you've got to come back, or, oh, Grandpa, please just tell me where you buried the gold.
Oh, like pleading for them to come back type things?
Well, I mean, not always pleading for them to come back, and, you know, example of the last phrase,
obviously, but some sort of a commune type nature. Are we supposed to be doing that?
I don't know. You want to?
I mean, if that's a part of the magic and that helps, I obviously want him to come back.
It looks at you kind of like, you're a sorcerer, aren't you?
Yeah, it happens.
Exactly. The magic happens. And you're over here like, if that's a part of the magic, you, more than anyone, should know that the magic is whatever the magic wants to be. Us, and he kind of like, taps his side. He says, us that do it differently, we're the ones in the wrong. We're the ones who are cajoling and forcing things into a pattern. It doesn't want to be.
I mean, you have experienced this type of magic way more than I. Divinity is not something I'm...
Kind of shrugs. Like, you know.
I guess I start getting ponderous in regards to
Sure.
his statement and how I can...
You see he reaches into a pouch and he pulls out some little something that's wrapped, and he unwraps it. He throws what looks like a little piece of candy or a nut or something like that into his mouth. And then he balls up the little wad of paper, and you can see Ashes is kind of like at the foot of Matashtai's cot, and Driven throws the little balled up piece of paper, and you see it kind of like angles a little bit to the right, like it's not gonna miss, or it's gonna miss, and then Driven kind of like tilts his head, and the paper goes whoop, and smacks Ashes in the head, which gets Ash's attention, and Ashes you see across the room, Driven's kind of like looking at you. Kind of like he just
Hey.
he nods over towards Matashtai, and he kind of like mimes like, I think it shrugs.
Okay. And I'll like scooch up a little bit so that I can like place a hand on his shoulder or something like that, or grab his forearm, or something, some kind of physical touch. And I'll lean in and be like, "Hey, if you don't come back, we're gonna make a bunch of alien jokes and you can't defend yourself. Also, Bones is probably gonna take all your stuff."
My favorite part is Mitch is not even paying attention.
Very true.
I'm paying attention. I'm dead. I can't
He's
say
dead.
anything.
What do you want him to do?
You as a player can react
Yeah,
without saying anything.
Oh, bro.
You have to emote, Mitch.
No, I'm dead.
He's dead. How's he gonna
I'm
emote?
playing my role.
I'm just playing my character.
This is what my character would do.
My character's dead. It's what they would do.
That's right.
Love it.
Which dog is under here? Hello, white one.
With
All right.
but yeah, and then like, jokes aside, we're not done yet. We need you, brother. And I'll give his shoulder like 2 pats and slink back.
My hand twitches.
Oh,
Or
now
at
you
least-
emote?
Well, I got shit on it before.
I thought you were dead.
I mean,
Wow.
in fairness, this is the first time anyone's actually interacted with his dead body. So,
Yeah, Zach.
Yeah,
Yes, I guess
Jake.
That is technically true. I
To
can't.
be fair, it wasn't my turn.
You had a turn? I gave you a turn?
I said I was in thought preparing.
Okay, well, I mean, time passes. We got another 45 minutes. It's been like 15.
Right.
We have 45 more. Lord.
It's an hour-long cast.
It's an hour-long cast, yeah. We're doing this shit in real time, boys.
Lord.
Time does begin to pass. Erelol's arguments or heated exchange, whatever it was, seems to subside, and she turns instead into a kind of like lilting, breathy kind of like chant or chorus. That goes on for like another 10 minutes or so, and then she actually moves back into the original chanting phrasing that she had been saying. And then another moment of potentially tense argumentation starts up again. And at any point in time, any of the characters are free to do anything or say anything that they would like to do. Otherwise,
As Ezra has been ponderous for the last 20-ish minutes or whatever the case may be, eventually he will lean in and grasp Matashtai's hand in both of his hands.
I release a death.
Ezra disintegrates and dies.
Nice.
For the delayed disintegrate that was targeted only
Yeah,
at
that
me.
was stored inside my body as a trap.
yep.
Wow.
You fool! You've activated my trap card!
Because I'm the only person that Jeremy can disintegrate.
Actively how that works.
You got disintegrated, kinda.
No.
No, he didn't. He cheated. He was an alien.
What's the name?
No regrets.
So I grasp Matashtai's hand within mine, and I kind of lean in quietly. You know, You're probably the first friend I've actually really had. I obviously am not the best with people. I focused on my problems and my figuring out what's wrong with me. And that pushed people away. But you accepted that. And I'd like you to be there when I find out who I am. And I want to be there to help you finish your quest. And see your homeland. This is hard. But I believe you're not done. Come back to us. Please. And I kind of wipe my hand super not awkwardly in any way, shape, form, and kind of step away.
Another few minutes pass. Seems like the ritual is beginning to wrap up. And if anyone has any last words or anything like that, likely they should be said now. The last few minutes of Eralal's ritual become an almost heated exchange, it seems. There are a few times at which her stern, matronly voice is raised, not to the point of yelling. I'm sure someone could say I'm not yelling with how loud the voice is. And maybe they would be correct, or maybe they wouldn't, depending on the interpretation of who was on the receiving end of that loud voice. But Erlal Freth does seem to be in quite the argument. And then she stops. Her eyes are no longer white. Her pupils reappear. Her hair falls back down onto her shoulders. There is a slight pulse in the air. Ezra, you feel this kind of like surge of arcane electricity, right?
Counterspell.
Oh God!
And
No.
I mean, you're gonna have to roll for that one.
Okay.
And then Bones, and I would say probably Ashes, because of the relative sudden silence in the chamber. You both hear, after a brief moment, a heartbeat, shallow breathing.
Damn.
And Erlal stands there for a few moments. And she makes a very kind of like sour, displeased face. Turns towards Driven and she says, arguing with deities from other planets is not exactly what I would prefer to be doing on any morning. But that woman has got to be the most stubborn, mule-headed individual I have ever encountered. Driven stands up, kind of like walks over to her, puts a shoulder on her arm. And you can see she's not exhausted, but she is a little winded, right? She's been on her feet chanting for an hour, right? With an intense amount of arcane or divine energy flowing through her. So she looks a little shaky, perhaps would be a good word. He helps steady her, and then she looks to all of you and she says, it should be done. Your friend returned. It might take him a few moments to awaken on his own volition. Give him time. The process is not exactly... well, it can be difficult. If you have need of us, know where to find us. And they both exit.
Actually,
Thank you.
I'll say it. Great Mother Erlal, thank you. I understand that even though we, paid for this, I still recognize that this is a sacrifice that you're making, and I'm truly grateful.
You made a sacrifice for one of my own, too, in fact, and had you not, then I would not have performed this one for you. We're even, but I do not consider it an even exchange. I consider it to be a first step on hopefully many on a journey that we will share together as allies in the future.
And I'll incline my head and say I'm looking forward to it.
Also, for clarity, while I do appreciate the title and the respect you're intending to give me, I'm definitely not your mother, so...
Mommy.
Damn.
I never knew mine.
Adopt
Will you be
me,
my
grandmommy.
She looks at Driven
Will
and she
you be my
says,
mother?
"This is not my problem," walks out. Driven like looks as she goes and she says, "Does that mean it's my problem?" And he walks out as well.
Ash just looks to him and goes, "Mommy."
Are you my mommy?
Are you my mummy? Ugh.
Uh,
Ugh. Alright. Erlal Freth and Driven Freth leave you to your own devices.
I am.
And
Passive.
as the minutes pass, you can hear Matashtai's breathing deepen, become steadier. Does Matashtai snore or anything?
No.
I assume he is of perfect
Because I do in
health.
real life, so Matt
So
doesn't.
he's like, no, this is my fantasy,
Yeah,
not
fantasy game.
not snoring. Being able to breathe is my
CPAP.
fantasy, right? Like, holy fuck,
Unrealistic standards, breathing
right?
normal.
Absolutely. Yeah. Matashtai seems to be in a slumber, breathing deeply. You see his flesh had never really discolored, but it had kind of begun to kind of like pale perhaps a little bit over the 9 hours or so since his death. That the luster, right, of his dark skin begins to return.
Melanin.
Matashtai. You recall the memory that you experienced, the attack on your ship when you were traveling on with your mentor and master Liu Sun, your best friend Darren Tash, on your way to Waterdeep. Attack that ultimately led to losing your master and your best friend. You being ejected into an escape pod and falling down to the planet Oral, landing in Waterdeep Harbor, being pulled free, being in a near-death state, being rescued by Bryce Bladewater, Blade something.
Bryce Bladewater, yes.
Bladewater, and then spending time amongst the clerics of the dead, right, in this small temple to Kelimvor, and getting to know the city of Waterdeep before eventually finding your way into this small group on this crazy suicidal mission that somewhat matched up with what you needed to do anyways, and you remember the conversation with your master on the what he called Edge of Nothing. You remember not being able to hear Velena. Still being able to feel the slight tug of the bond. And you remember, whether you can process it or not, the words that your master said before shunting you from Land of the Dead. Remember floating. Face of nothingness. And that's it. You don't remember hearing anything. You don't remember hearing any pleading from your friends or words of encouragement. You don't remember the feel of a lap against your hand from the strange wolf fae creature known as Wolf. You don't remember any of that because you're dead and you had no sensory perception of anything. But
way to really sell it for the people pouring their souls out for the resurrection.
But the words that were shared over your body, perhaps just as much for the people who shared them as it often is, rather than the one. So, speaking of being dead, Matashtai, you are no longer dead. Return to life with 1 HP.
I inhale sharply and do a sweet backflip off of the table.
Dexterity saving throw or take
Or immediately die again.
Immediately die again. Is that how you want to play this?
I'm back. Whoop. Ah,
Oh shit! Clunk.
air alone. Come back.
It's cheaper. It's just a fucking what is it? Revivify.
Yeah, 60 seconds.
Matashtai,
Is it 60? Damn.
you come back to life with 1 HP. You wake with a start. There is a sudden intake of breath. Your eyes flash open, and all of the sensory parts and pieces that you had been missing while floating in the void and the nothingness come rushing back to you. The sounds, the smells, the touch. Why is there? That's cold. That's wet. What is on your hand? And you look over, and there's a big ass direwolf like lapping at your wrist.
How big is a direwolf's tongue? Like,
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
sandpaper
Right.
up half
Yeah,
your
Yeah,
arm,
he actually was pretty
right?
damn big. So it's pretty damn
a
big.
cow tongue.
right? You
I kind of reach out and I give him some scritches.
he almost kind of like nuzzles your hand, and then there's like a realization, and then the wolf pulls back and is kind of like sitting more at attention and just kind of like looks slightly away, and you hear
Why did I like
in
that?
your mind, right? You hear in your mind just like a glad you're back.
I'll,
For
I'll walk
clarity, do I hear that?
I that's why you saw my mouth drop open and me go
He's like,
for a few
I
moments,
don't-
because I was sitting there going like, is it
the summoner that can hear.
No, he only originally heard because of his Kalishtar spirit.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
un momento. I need to double
Jeremy
check
has to
something.
do some quick maths.
Quick mash.
Math.
Quick mash.
Not
No.
mash. THS.
I love
Quick
mash.
mash.
The monster maths.
It's the monster mash.
No, no, no,
It was a graveyard smash.
no, no, no.
I have this saved, but I do not.
Damn it, Jeremy. Why don't you have this saved?
Yeah, damn it, Jeremy.
Actually, why doesn't he just have it memorized?
Yeah, Jeremy.
Okay. Okay.
See, I'm not that crazy. Let's put Jay in front of a DM screen and demand him to have everything memorized.
Oh, I can't remember my one character.
Yeah, you've got
Yeah.
your one character
Nope.
sheet, man.
Okay, I had to go
one.
look it up, but no, Matashtai, you do not hear
No
that.
response.
Didn't think so.
So I think this is a pretty good time for Matashtai as you awaken, as all of those senses come back. There is an obvious hole in your senses, in your sensory kind of like palette, like what you're used to being able to understand and witness and perceive, and that is because for all intents and purposes, you are no longer a Kalishtar.
He's
I,
a real boy.
Yeah,
I turn to the guys.
Valuable.
I turn to the guys and I say, "Thanks, guys. Thanks for bringing me back.
Thanks
But
for
we got a
coming
problem.
back.
But we got a problem.
Yeah?
Then one.
Valena didn't come back.
And where'd she go?
Her homeworld. I think she was sent back when she took the shot for me.
Is that what happened?
I think, if I understand right, I'd be a little pile of dust if not.
Okay.
There's kind of a realization on Ezra, because I am assuming no one else in this group has any understanding of what happened to Matashtai.
I don't know about understanding. Perhaps like actual understanding from a character standpoint is probably a no. But I think
I feel like
From-
we saw the obsidian throne shooting out disintegrates, didn't we?
that was in Out of the Abyss.
Wrong
Was that?
campaign,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, it was.
Wrong
Regardless,
campaign.
though,
Good call.
Still a drow throne.
Yeah.
right. Regardless, though, Disintegrate, I think, is one of those kind of like famous tales are told when wizard battles, old legends and things like that are told about things. Disintegrate's one of those spells that crops up like Fireball. It's one of those kind of like coined kind of concepts. People, even the common folk, know from Bard's tales, right? Like a green beam shooting across the battlefield and striking a brave warrior in the chest, and them turning into a pile of dust, right? Instantly disintegrated by some foul wizard or lich or something like that. So, like, they probably don't fully understand, but from like a colloquial like understanding or kind of like a reference point, they'll be like, oh yeah, that could have been bad, kind of situation.
All right, I'll also, just because I think he'll probably want it, I'll hand Matt a water skin just to give him something to drink, because he's probably got a bad case of cotton mouth.
You feel like you have not drank
I glug
anything
it
in
down.
approximately 9 hours.
Yeah.
So I drink it real quick, and then I say, yeah. So while I was out, my old master, Liu Sun, reached out to me, and I think was making sure I wasn't going to stay dead.
While you were dead, you met your old master?
Sure did.
The afterlife is weird.
Aliens.
Yeah.
I real quick, I pump myself full of some HP, and I go slap the shit out of Ezra.
Disintegrate.
I'm not failing that deck save again.
I really hope I don't have to clip this moment in like a month and a half when you do fail that deck save
when I
again.
do fail another disintegrate. But so he thinks that she likely was sent back to Dalquar, the Dream Realm.
How would somebody get there?
Or get back.
Tell my
I don't
Bilbo
know
Baggins.
yet.
Well, we'll help. Whatever it takes.
But I need to go there, and I need to find her.
Can we do like some like magic travel to teleport? That's a thing, right?
I'd assume. I've heard stories of people going there before, though from what I understand, it's not a physical journey, typically.
I'd say, for clarity, each of you is familiar, at least, with the concept of dreaming. And you live in a world of gods and immortals and everything else. You may not have experience with it, but even the common folk would say, yeah, the realm of dreams is where you go when you sleep, when you dream.
Hey, maybe we can go talk to Culp, because he's got like,
Yeah, that man gets high all the time.
yeah. He might have some like magic sleepy dimensional traveling bullshit, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe we'll lick a frog or something, and
In theory,
lick a frog.
I-
Lick a frog.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Colt just starts disrobing. All
No,
right.
not a-
Damn it.
No, like an actual frog.
Oh, so
I-
they're not actual frogs now.
I might need some time.
All right,
But
actual cat.
in theory, if we can find a item or a willing creature from this place, if I can spend some time, I might be able to get us there. I.e., if I level, I can switch a spell, and if we have a magic item or willing creature, I can burn a 7th level spell to
Planar travel.
Matashtai.
Dream of the Blue Veil is the spell.
That's the one. Matashtai breathes life back into his body, sits up, tells you all a little bit about his time in death and the issue that he now faces. And immediately you all kind of like jump into, problem solving, ideas. What can we do? And I think it is at that point that we will take our break, because we are long overdue for that. So we're gonna go pop into a quick break, and when we get back, we will see exactly what the party decides to do, or more ideas that they come up with for what lies ahead in their futures. So we will be back from break in just a few minutes for more Dungeon of the Mad Mage.
Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.